This is section 2.4, solutions to linear inequalities. Now, the calculator doesn't have like an easy button. There's not like a simple method to do it, but there is kind of a way to get around it. But we can use the calculator to help us with this. So I'm going to go through that process. And again, there is a spot here for you to make calculator notes. And as a video, you can stop and pause this if you need to, and then come back to it as needed. These questions are going to have three parts. You're going to have an A, B, and C part. C is going to be graphing. A is going to be an inequality solution. B is going to be interval notation, and C is going to be the graph, which is going to be multiple choice. So let's go over to the calculator. So we're going to hit menu. Go to number 3, algebra, and then do numerical solve. If you're on the CAS version of the Inspire, this may be further down in the list. So you're going to take the inequality and you're going to put it in, but you're going to put an equal sign, which is to the left of your 7, instead of the inequality symbol. I've tried to do this with the inequalities. It doesn't work. I've tried to find other functions in here that solve it. I've not been able to find one. So this is the easiest method I've been able to find. Now, once you put this in, you're going to have to put comma X at the end. We used this in one of the earlier sections. And then you hit enter. I get a decimal. That 3 is repeating. It needs to be as an improper fraction. So I'm going to type in the number that I have, but I'm going to take that 3 about 2/3 to 3/4 away across the screen. And then I'm going to hit menu, go to number, and then approximate to a fraction. You get something like this. You're going to have to hit enter again, and it converts it to 4/3. Now, if you don't put it, let me show you what happens right here. I didn't put enough 3s, and you get a huge decimal. So if you're getting a huge fraction, if you're getting huge fractions, that just means you need to take the 3 a little bit further across the screen. So we get 4, we got 1.3. I'm just going to put this decimal up here just for reference. So you're going to write the variable. You're going to pull that inequality symbol down just like they have it. You're not going to change it any. And you're going to put in the answer. This one happened to be a fraction. It's 4/3. So let's go down here. So on a number line, 4/3 is 1.3. That's between 1 and 2 on your number line. All right, so I'm going to show you some things about interval notation. If you have a less than or just a greater than, you can have some type of parenthesis. A less than or equal to or greater than or equal to, you have a bracket. And infinities always have a parenthesis. So the inequality symbol tells us what's going to be on the number. And then again, infinities always have a parenthesis. The way this is set up with the X on the left, the inequality points in the direction you need to shade. So we're going to shade to the left. And on the number line, that's taking us all the way to what? If you go all the way to the left, you're going towards negative infinity. Infinities always have a parenthesis. Looking at the inequality symbol, there's no line underneath it. That means the number is going to have a parenthesis on it. Then I use the number line. So I want to show you interval notation. So left to right. left to right like you read a sentence. We have a parenthesis with negative infinity, comma, then our number, and the inequality symbol tells me I have a parenthesis on the number. So that is interval notation. Negative infinity is always on the left. Positive infinity, if we run across it, will always be on the right. Okay. So let's go to the next one and put that in our calculator. Equal sign is to the left of your 7. And don't forget what at the end, comma X. And then hit enter. We have a decimal. So I want to convert that to a fraction. That one doesn't repeat. Hit enter again. So -5/4. I just put the decimal up there again just for reference. All right, so part A, you write X, bring down the inequality symbol exactly like you see it. And it was -5/4. On the number line, -1.25 falls between -2 and -1. The inequality symbol points in the direction you shade. So we're going to shade to the left. Going all the way towards the left, so we're going towards negative infinity, which has a parenthesis. We look at the inequality symbol, there's no line underneath it, so the -5/4 has a parenthesis on it. So there's our interval notation. You read it like you do a book, left to right. So negative infinity with a parenthesis, comma, -5/4. The inequality symbol tells me I have a parenthesis on the number. Let's go to the next one. So menu, algebra, numerical solve. Number 30. Once you get the equation in, last thing we need to put in is comma X and hit enter. All right, we have a repeating decimal. Take that about 2/3 to 3/4. So menu, number, approximate to a fraction, and then hit enter again. When you get that 5 to the E, you need to hit enter again. So that's -11/6. We bring down the inequality symbol like we see it, and the fraction was -11/6. And just for reference, I don't need the threes, it's just -1.8. So I'll know what two numbers it's going to fall between on the number line. Okay, so that's going to fall between -2 and -1. All right, so we look at the inequality symbol, it points in the direction we need to shade. So we're going to shade to the left. And again, to the left is negative infinity, which always has a parenthesis. Looking at this inequality symbol, there's a line underneath it, so that means there's a bracket on the negative 11 over 6. Looking at our graph, left to right, that's our interval notation. So negative infinity with a parenthesis, comma, negative 11 over 6. And the inequality symbol tells me the negative 11 over 6 has a bracket on it. All right. We have two more of these. Let's flip over for this one. So menu, algebra, numerical solve, and I'm starting with a big fraction bar. Make sure you arrow to the right at the end and put in your comma X. Hit enter. So that's 12.2. So let's convert that to a fraction. So 61 over 5. So we have part A, X is greater than or equal to, what was it, 61 over, let me look at that real quick. 61 over 5. Part B is your interval notation. 12.2 falls between 12 and 13. The inequality symbol points in the direction we need to shade. So we're going to shade to the right. But this time, if we're going to the right, we're going towards positive infinity, which always has a parenthesis on it. If we look at the inequality symbol, there's a line underneath it. So that means there's a bracket on 61 over 5. All right. So if we look at what we have down there, interval notation is going to go left to right. So first we run across the 61 over 5. And the inequality symbol determines there's a bracket on it, comma, to positive infinity, which always has a parenthesis. Negative infinity is always on the left, positive infinity is always on the right. Right, so this one, same thing, you would put it in the calculator. X is going to be greater than or equal to, I'm just bringing that symbol down. And you can do this one on your own. You end up getting negative 80. Right. Now, if we look at the inequality symbol, it's pointing to the right, so we're going to shade to the right. That's going towards positive infinity, which always has a parenthesis. The inequality symbol has a line underneath it, so we're going to use a bracket. So looking at what we put on the number line, or how we graphed it left to right, we run across the negative 80 first, and the inequality symbol tells me there's a bracket on it. We're going towards positive infinities, and infinities always have a parenthesis. All right, now we're going to get to the word problems. The word problems are actually just a little bit easier. They don't need the inequalities. It does make them easier to deal with. All right, so Debbie Cook is given the choice of two positions. The first position pays $3,100 per month. The other position pays $2,000 per month plus 5% on monthly sales. So 5% is a decimal. You divide it by 100 is 0.05 times X, X being whatever the monthly sales are that she makes. What amount must she sell in order for the second job to be more profitable? So at what point is job two, does it pay her more than job one? So job two is 2,000 plus 0.05x. And job one was a flat monthly pay of 3,100. The good thing about the word problem is they just need that point where that changes. So we're still going to use numerical solve. Comma X at the end. So X is equal to 22,000. So they just want to know what level of sales she has to have. So they just need that 22,000. You know, to put an inequality in, they just need 22,000. If a student has an average exam score between 70 and 79, he will earn a C in his algebra course. Suppose he has three exams, 79, 60, 86, and his teacher said the final exam score has twice the weight of the other three. So how will we represent that final exam, but it's twice the weight? We don't know what the score is. It's going to be 2x. And to find the average, we're going to divide by 5 because the final exam counts twice. It's like two exams. So essentially you're taking 5. So the scores need to be between 70, or the average needs to be between 70 and 79. Okay. So I'm going to write out what you're going to put. So we're going to use numerical solve. Flip over to the calculator now. Big fraction bar in. Get your comma X at the end. All right, so the minimum score to keep a C would be 62.5. Now you need to do the same thing again, but with a 79. Now, if you want, you could use your arrows. And when you hit that, you can just hit enter. It's a copy and paste function. Then I'm going to come over here and change that to 79 and hit enter. You could retype the whole thing if you want, but the final exam score needs be between a 62.5 and 85. The smaller exam score has to go in the first blank. The larger exam score has to go in the second one. A company's daily profit from the production and sale of electrical components can be described by this equation, where X is the number of units sold and produced. What level of production will give a daily profit that is more than $14,590? So we're going to put the equation on the left. Thing. I'm going to double check real quick. 14590, comma X at the end. Hit enter. So 2,700 units. So when they produce and sell at least 2,700 units, then their profit will be, after they produce and sell 2,700 units, then their profit will exceed 14,590. A large hardware company store's monthly profit from the sale of PVC pipe can be described by this equation, where X is feet of PVC pipe. What level of monthly sales is necessary to avoid a loss? So to avoid a loss, the profit needs to do what? The profit needs to be greater than zero. If you have no profit, if your profit's zero, you break even, but anything over even just like $1, you're earning some type of profit. Put that in the calculator. Still with our numerical solve. Zero, comma X at the end. I did not put zero. I'm going to double check what I put in. 5435. Hit enter. So 2,100. So they would have to sell more than 2,100 feet PVC pipe in order to avoid a loss, in other words, to make a profit. That is the end of section 2.4.